Gary, Indiana, in 1973, was a titan of the Rust Belt. The stacks were smoking, the mills were humming, and the city was the magic city of the Midwest. But beneath the industrial muscle, a shadow was lengthening. Before it was known as the murder capital, Gary was a place of neighborhoods, of kids walking to school, of a safety we take for granted today. On September 27th, that safety evaporated. A 12-year-old girl named Carrie Louise Duncan went missing. What followed wasn't just a search, it was the beginning of a nightmare that would lead to the quietest corners of Ridgelawn Cemetery. Thanks for watching Whiplash 714. Now let's take a deep dive into some forgotten files. It started at 9:30 in the morning. Carrie and a friend were walking. It was a bright Thursday. A car pulled up, a vehicle borrowed by a 22-year-old mill worker named Raul Rudy Sotelo. Sotelo wasn't alone. He had friends in the car. They offered the girls a ride. One girl went home. Carrie, she got in. For the next few hours, Carrie was a passenger in a car moving through the city she called home. They visited friends. They listened to tapes. To anyone watching, it looked like a group of kids hanging out. But as the afternoon sun began to dip, the tone shifted. Sotelo's friends were dropped off. Suddenly, it was just Raul, and it was just Carrie. Sotelo drove to the west end of Ridgelawn Cemetery, not to visit a grave, but to find isolation. According to court records and his own eventual confession, a dispute broke out inside that car. Carrie wanted to leave. She threatened to tell his wife, to tell the police. Panic is a cold thing. Sotelo claimed he got scared. He backed the car up. He hit the gas. He didn't just hit her. The evidence at the scene was a map of madness. He drove over her, backed up, drove over her again. He left her there, partially clad among the headstones, and drove back to his life as if nothing had happened. He even picked up his friends again later that evening. The police didn't have to look far. Sotelo had been seen with her. During the interrogation, Sotelo tried to play the accidental card, but the Lake County investigators saw the crime scene. You don't accidentally drive over a child 4 times in a cemetery. Sotelo was convicted of first-degree murder on October 2nd, 1974. But the story didn't end at the sentencing. He appealed. He claimed his confession was coerced. He claimed he was insane, suffering from what his lawyers called paranoid schizophrenia brought on by childhood trauma. The Indiana Supreme Court looked at the tapes. They looked at the evidence. The conviction stood. Raul Rudy Sotelo would spend the rest of his life behind bars for what he did at Ridgelawn. If you go to Ridgelawn today, you might look for a marker. You might look for a sign of where Carrie is laid to rest. You won't find it. For years, people assumed she was buried where she was found. But that's the mistake I even made earlier in this investigation. Her family chose a different path. They took her away from the site of the horror. They brought her here, to Fern Oak. In the archives of the Lake County Library, the obituaries from late September 1973 tell the true story. They held her services at a local funeral home and moved her to the other side of town. Because even in death, some places are too heavy to stay in. Carrie Louise Duncan would be in her 60s today. She might have been a grandmother. She might have seen the mills close and the city change. Instead, she is a frozen moment in Northwest Indiana history. Her case changed how people viewed the peace of our local cemeteries. It reminded us that the gates we build to keep the world out don't always work. Ridgelawn still has its secrets, and the mills still cast their long shadows over Gary. But here at Fernoak, the air is still. Carrie Duncan isn't a headline anymore. She isn't a court case. She's just a 12-year-old girl finally getting the peace the world denied her in 1973.